Tonight's homework, we're looking at some more congruent triangles. For exercise 13 to 18, do the following for each pair of triangles. Inspect and measure parts of the figures to determine whether they are congruent. So remember, we can definitely do that based on the lengths of the sides, and we can also determine it based on the angles that we have. If the triangles are congruent, list the corresponding vertices. If the triangles are congruent, describe a sequence of transformations that would move one triangle onto the other. So I'll go ahead and do number 13 for you, and then you can do the rest on your own. So number 13, I'm noticing that there are two 90-degree angles. So if this one is 90 degrees and this one is 90 degrees, I have two angles that are exactly the same. The other two, I do not have a protractor to measure, so I'm going to go ahead and just measure the sides. So if I measure this, and I don't necessarily need a ruler, you can use a ruler if you have one, but I'm going to determine from BD, it's going to be this length, so I'm going to measure here as well. And it turns out that it's exactly the same. So now I'm going to use the other corner and measure out the other leg of this right triangle. And it's from that corner to this one here. So I'm going to measure this one. And once again, it's exact. And now I'm going to measure the hypotenuse. And it looks like it's right there. So let's see if this hypotenuse measures out to be the same, and it does. So I can definitely say that these are congruent. So I'm going to write that down. It says here, if we know that it's congruent, list the corresponding vertices. So I know that this one right here is B. So B, angle B, is corresponding to angle B. Then I know that here's D, and I notice that these two are the same. So angle C is corresponding with angle D. And then A and E. So angle A corresponds to angle E. Now it's asking, if the triangles are congruent, describe a sequence of transformations that would move from one triangle onto the other. So it doesn't matter which one I start with. If I started here, how do I get there? If I started here, how do I get there? So I notice that they are a reflection of each other. So I'm going to say that triangle ABC is flipped over, maybe by a diagonal, and becomes BED. Okay, so triangle ABC flips at a diagonal to become triangle EBD. Or instead of using the word flips, you can definitely use reflect, since that's the academic term. And just to show a little bit more, I'm going to actually draw my line of reflection. So remember, we're going to measure our vertices that are corresponding so that we could see where the line's going to be. So the center looks about right here, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it today. But I also noticed that it goes through B, because if the points are the same or unmoved, remember that it is on the line of reflection. So here's my line of reflection. So once I fold on this line, these two triangles will meet up to be congruent. You're going to do the same exact thing for 14, 15, and 16, but please make sure that you check that the triangles are congruent and that you don't assume that they are.